Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures, where humanity always rises. The human ship did not plan to be there. It was a small exploration vessel, built for long travel and quiet study, not for war. Its jump drive fired for a normal route, but something went wrong. A small error. A weak signal. In deep space, even a tiny mistake could change everything. The ship vanished from human space and appeared somewhere no human map had ever marked. The place it entered was silent for less than 1 second. Then alarms exploded across the void. Massive structures lit up. Thousands of alien ships changed formation at once. The human vessel had appeared inside the heart of the Galactic Empire, a place so protected that even powerful empires feared to look at it. No ship entered this space by accident. No ship entered it at all. Inside the human ship, there was no screaming, no panic, no chaos. The crew felt the sudden stop and the strange readings, but they stayed calm. Captain Elias Carter looked at the screens and slowly took a breath. The stars outside were wrong. The signals were wrong. Everything felt heavy and quiet. He knew at once that they were very far from home. Around the human ship, the Imperial fleet locked weapons. Giant cruisers, black and sharp, formed a circle. Energy cannons charged. Fighter wings launched. To the aliens, this was a threat beyond reason. A foreign ship had appeared in sacred space. In Empire law, this meant only one thing: death. Imperial scanners moved over the human ship. They searched for weapons, shields, and signs of attack. They found nothing special. The ship was small, weak. Its power output was low. This made no sense. No one came here in a ship like that. The alien commanders felt confusion turn into anger. On the human bridge, officers waited for orders. They watched the screens fill with unknown symbols and massive shapes. The ship's AI tried to translate signals, but failed. Captain Carter spoke calmly. He told the crew to stay seated and follow protocol. He knew fear would not help them now. A powerful alien signal hit the ship. It was sharp and loud, filled with authority. The crew felt it even without understanding the words. It was a command, a demand. The Empire was calling them out. The ship's translator struggled, then found patterns. The message became clear enough. Unidentified vessel. You have violated Imperial space. Power down. Prepare for destruction. Some crew members swallowed hard. One officer asked if they should raise shields. Captain Carter shook his head slowly. He told them to send a reply. Not fast, not slow, just calm. The message went out. Simple words, clear tone. This is a human exploration ship. We believe we made a navigation error. We are not hostile. The alien commanders stared at their screens. They replayed the message again and again. Navigation error. Not hostile. No begging. No fear. No lies detected. This made them uneasy. The Empire activated deeper scans. Mind sensors reached into the human ship, searching for panic. They expected terror. They expected chaos. Instead, they found steady thoughts, concern, focus, even curiosity. The humans were afraid, yes, but it was controlled, quiet, balanced. This was rare. This was wrong. One alien officer whispered that the humans must be insane. Another said it was a trick. The fleet tightened its circle. Weapons stayed ready. The Empire could erase the ship in a blink. Yet something held them back. These creatures did not act like prey. Inside the human ship, the crew felt strange pressure, like eyes watching from inside their heads. Some shifted in their seats, but no one broke. Captain Carter noticed it and clenched his jaw. He knew they were being tested in a way humans had never faced before. Minutes passed. In Imperial space, minutes felt like hours. The human ship did nothing. It did not run. It did not fight. It simply stayed where it was, light steady, system stable. The Empire sent another message. This one was colder. You will be boarded. Resistance will result in termination. Captain Carter nodded once. He ordered all weapons sealed. He told the crew to prepare to receive visitors. No sudden moves. No aggression. The humans would face whatever came next with open hands. Alien boarding ships moved closer. Massive shapes blocked the stars. Imperial soldiers watched from their decks, expecting screams, weapons, desperate actions. They saw none of it. The human ship remained still. As the boarding ships locked on, an Imperial commander asked a question no one wanted to say out loud. "If they are not afraid," he asked, "what do they know that we do not?" No one answered him. On the human bridge, Captain Carter looked at the stars one last time. He knew history was changing, even if he did not yet know how. Humans had entered the most dangerous place in the galaxy by mistake, and they had not flinched. The galaxy was watching now, and it would never forget what it saw next. The human ship was pulled deeper into Imperial space, guided by unseen force fields and silent commands. The massive fleet moved with perfect order, like a single machine. The humans watched from their screens as stations the size of moons passed by. Towers of metal and light stretched into darkness. This was not just power. This was control. Inside the Imperial Command Center, alien officers gathered around floating displays. The human ship was shown from every angle. It looked small, fragile, out of place. Yet the room felt tense. Something about the humans disturbed them. They did not act like others who had crossed the Empire's borders. The mind-scan results appeared on the main screen. Lines of data flowed fast. Symbols flashed. The lead analyzer leaned closer. He checked the readings again. Then again. The fear index was low. Not absent, but stable. Balanced. The emotional spikes expected from intruders were missing. There was no panic surge. No mental collapse. The humans were aware of danger, but they were not drowning in it. This result spread through the room, like cold air. One officer spoke sharply, asking if a scan was broken. Another demanded a recalibration. The analyzer obeyed, running the scan once more at higher strength. The sensors pushed deeper, searching for hidden terror or suppressed rage. The results did not change. The humans were calm. This was unheard of. Even trained warriors from strong species showed fear when facing the Empire. Fear was natural. Fear meant survival. But these humans did not react as expected. Their minds moved in slow, organized patterns. Thoughts of duty. Thoughts of problem-solving. Thoughts of home. Even small thoughts of curiosity about the alien technology around them. An Imperial general slammed his claw against the console. He said the humans must be lying or using mental shields. The analyzer answered carefully. There were no shields. No blocks. The minds were open. Honest. This made the general uneasy. On the human ship, the crew felt a second wave of pressure. It was stronger than before. Some felt headaches. One engineer closed her eyes and focused on breathing. Another crew member clenched his hands to stay steady. Captain Carter noticed every sign. He spoke calmly, reminding them that fear was normal but panic was a choice. His voice helped the crew stay centered. The Empire sent no message this time. Silence pressed in from all sides. Silence was a weapon in Imperial space. It broke many minds. The humans waited. Minutes passed. Then more. The ship drifted slowly as the Empire decided their fate. The human AI whispered updates in a soft tone, translating energy shifts and movement patterns. The crew listened, alert but controlled. In the command center, a new idea formed. The Emperor had not yet been informed. Some officers argued to destroy the ship immediately. Others warned that something so strange should not be erased without understanding it. Finally, a High Counselor made the decision. The Emperor would be told. The message reached the Imperial throne chamber. The Emperor was ancient and powerful, surrounded by symbols of conquest. When the human data appeared before him, his many eyes narrowed. He studied the ship, the scans, the calm minds. He asked one question. Do they know where they are? The counselor answered that the humans believed they were lost. This answer surprised the Emperor. Lost beings should be afraid. Lost beings should beg. These humans did neither. The Emperor ordered a direct communication. No threats. No shouting. He wanted to hear their voices. The signal reached the human ship. The translator activated again. A deep, layered voice filled the bridge. It spoke slowly, each word heavy with authority. You are within the core of the Galactic Empire. Explain your presence. Captain Carter stood from his chair. He straightened his uniform. He spoke clearly. We are explorers. Our jump failed. We did not intend to enter your space. We request guidance to leave peacefully. The bridge was silent after he finished. The crew waited. The Emperor listened. He sensed no deception, no hidden weapons, no false tone, only honesty and calm. The Emperor ended the transmission without reply. This unsettled both sides. On the bridge, a young officer asked what would happen next. Captain Carter answered truthfully. He said he did not know. In the command center, the Emperor gave a new order. The humans would not be destroyed. Not yet. They would be brought to the capital world. Not as prisoners, not as guests, but as unknowns. As the fleet changed course, whispers spread through Imperial ranks. Word moved fast. A new species had entered the Empire by accident and survived. A species that did not flinch under the Empire's gaze. On the human ship, stars shifted as they moved toward the heart of alien power. The crew felt fear now, deeper and sharper, but it remained controlled. Captain Carter looked at his crew and felt pride. Whatever waited ahead, they had already done something no one else had. They had faced the Empire's mind and did not break. The capital world of the Galactic Empire filled the view as the human ship arrived. It was a planet covered in light and metal, wrapped in layers of orbiting structures. Rings of stations moved in perfect rhythm. Ships of every size flowed like rivers around the planet. This was the center of power for half the galaxy, and the human ship looked like a small stone drifting into a storm. The Imperial fleet guided the humans down through controlled space. No one spoke to them. No orders. No threats. The silence felt heavy. On the human bridge, the crew watched the planet grow larger. They saw cities covering continents, towers reaching into the clouds, and energy fields glowing across the surface. This was not just a world. It was a symbol. The ship was directed to land on a massive platform near the Imperial Palace. The platform alone was larger than some human cities. Lines of armored soldiers waited in perfect formation. Their weapons were raised, their eyes fixed on the human vessel. Cameras and drones hovered everywhere, recording every movement. The Empire wanted to see how humans behaved up close. The landing was smooth. The human ship powered down slowly. No sudden movements. No hidden actions. The ramp lowered with a soft hiss. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the humans stepped out. Captain Carter led the way, followed by a small group of officers. They wore simple uniforms. No heavy armor. No visible weapons. Their hands were open. Their posture was straight but relaxed. They did not rush. They did not freeze. They simply walked forward. A ripple of reaction moved through the watching aliens. Many had expected fear. Others had expected arrogance. What they saw instead was calm purpose. The humans looked around, taking in the world before them. Their eyes moved slowly, studying architecture, soldiers, and technology. They did not bow. They did not challenge. They observed. The Imperial soldiers tightened their grips on their weapons. These humans were too steady. One commander stepped forward and shouted a command in his language. The translator turned it into sharp words. Kneel before the Empire. Captain Carter stopped. He looked at the commander. He thought for a moment, then shook his head gently. We will stand, he said. We mean no disrespect. The platform fell silent. This was a direct refusal. Gasps echoed from the watching crowd. No one refused the Empire in its own capital. The commander raised his weapon, ready to fire. His finger hovered over the trigger. The Emperor watched from high above through layered screens. He leaned forward slightly. He did not order the shot. He wanted to see what the humans would do next. Captain Carter did not move. He did not reach for anything. His crew remained still behind him. Their heart rates rose, but their bodies stayed controlled. They were walking into lions, and they knew it. The commander hesitated. Something about the humans made him pause. They did not look like rebels. They did not look like fools. They looked like people who had made a choice and accepted the cost. The commander lowered his weapon. He signaled the soldiers to stand down slightly. A path opened across the platform. The humans were ordered to follow. They walked through halls of towering stone and metal. The palace walls were carved with scenes of conquest. Entire species were shown kneeling before the empire. Some were shown being destroyed. The humans saw it all. Their faces remained calm, but their minds worked fast. They understood the message. This was a warning. Crowds gathered as they passed. Aliens of many forms stared at them. Whispers followed every step. Some showed fear. Some showed hatred. Others showed something close to respect. Inside the grand chamber, the ceiling stretched so high it vanished into shadow. The floor reflected the lights above like a still lake. At the far end, the imperial throne waited. The emperor sat upon it, massive and ancient, surrounded by guards. The humans were brought to the center of the chamber. They were told to stop. The silence was complete. Every eye was on them. The emperor studied the humans for a long time. He searched their faces for weakness. He found none. He searched for hidden rage. He found restraint. One of the emperor's generals stepped forward. His voice echoed across the chamber. He spoke of imperial law. He spoke of punishment. He spoke of death. He ended with a question. Why should you live? Captain Carter took a breath. He spoke slowly, so the translator could keep up. We do not ask for special treatment, he said. We only ask for fairness. We did not come to challenge you. We came by mistake. The general laughed harshly. He called the humans liars. He said mistakes did not lead to imperial space. He raised his claw and pointed at the humans. You will prove your worth, he said, or you will die. The emperor raised one hand, and the chamber went silent again. He looked at the humans and spoke. His voice was calm but heavy. You will face a trial, he said, not of words, but of survival. The humans listened. They did not argue. They did not beg. They accepted. As the guards moved to escort them away, a quiet thought passed through the imperial ranks. These humans had walked into the heart of the empire, refused to kneel, and still stood alive. Whatever this trial would be, the galaxy was about to learn something new. The chamber doors closed behind the humans, with a deep echo that rolled through the palace halls. The sound followed them as they were led away by imperial guards. The path ahead was long and silent. The guards did not speak. Their weapons stayed ready, but their movements showed caution. These humans were not prisoners in the normal sense. They were something unknown. The humans were taken deep below the palace into an ancient section of the capital. The air grew colder. The lights dimmed. The walls changed from polished metal to rough stone reinforced with glowing lines. This place had not been built for comfort. It had been built for judgment. They entered a wide chamber with a floor of dark alloy and walls that rose high and bare. At the center stood a circular platform. Around it were viewing tiers filled with officers, scientists, and soldiers. Above them all, the emperor watched from a shadowed balcony. The humans were guided onto the platform. It sealed beneath their feet with a low hum. Captain Carter felt the vibration travel through his boots. He knew this was not a symbolic trial. This was real. This was dangerous. A general stepped forward and spoke loudly so all could hear. He explained the rules in cold, clear terms. The trial would test survival, control, and decision-making. There would be no weapons provided. There would be no mercy. If the humans failed, they would die. If they succeeded, the Empire would reconsider their fate. Captain Carter listened without interruption. When the general finished, Carter nodded once. "We understand," he said. His voice was steady. This response surprised many in the audience. Most beings begged at this point. The humans did not. The platform sank slowly into the floor. Darkness rose around the humans as the chamber shifted. The walls opened, revealing a massive arena beneath the Capitol. The air was thick and heavy. The ground was uneven, covered in stone and metal fragments. This place had seen many deaths. Across the arena, a sealed gate began to rise. Heavy chains pulled it upward with a grinding sound. A deep growl echoed out, low and violent. The sound alone made some in the audience shift uncomfortably. The creature stepped forward. It was tall and broad, covered in armored plates that reflected the lights above. Its eyes burned with a dull red glow. Claws scraped against the floor as it moved. This beast had ended wars. Entire armies had fallen to it. It was used only when the Empire wanted certainty. The humans saw it and understood the danger at once. Their heart rate spiked. Fear flashed through their minds. But they did not freeze. They did not run. Captain Carter spoke quickly but calmly. He gave simple orders. Stay together. Watch its movement. Use the terrain. No one argued. No one hesitated. The humans formed a loose circle, their eyes locked on the creature. The beast charged without warning. The ground shook under its weight. It moved faster than expected. One human barely dodged as claws slammed into the ground where he had stood. Stone shattered. The audience roared. The humans moved as a unit. They did not try to fight strength with strength. They ran, spread out, and led the creature across the arena. Captain Carter noticed how it turned, how it slowed when changing direction, how its armor plates shifted. A scientist in the audience leaned forward. He saw the pattern too late. The humans were studying the beast, not fleeing from it. The creature roared and slammed into a pillar, bringing it down. Dust filled the air. One human fell, injured but alive. Two others pulled him up without stopping. They kept moving. They adapted. Captain Carter shouted for the injured to stay back. He and two others climbed onto broken debris, drawing the creature's attention. When it charged again, it stumbled on the uneven ground. Its heavy armor worked against it. The humans used simple tools from their suits. Cables. Magnetic clamps. Nothing designed as weapons. They wrapped cables around the creature's legs, anchoring them to fallen structures. The beast fought, tearing free one line, then another. But it slowed. The audience fell silent. This was not how the trial usually went. The Emperor watched closely. He saw something new. Cooperation without command. Trust without hesitation. These humans did not fight as individuals. They fought as one mind in many bodies. With a final coordinated move, the humans led the creature toward a weakened section of the arena floor. They triggered a collapse using a power cell overload. The ground gave way. The creature fell into the pit below, roaring as it vanished into darkness. The arena went still. The humans stood breathing hard, bruised, tired, alive. The platform rose again, carrying them back into the light. The audience stared in stunned silence. The general who had demanded their deaths said nothing. The Emperor stood. His voice echoed through the chamber. "You have survived," he said. "This changes much." Captain Carter met the Emperor's gaze. He did not smile. He did not bow. He simply nodded. The Empire had tested the humans with death, and the humans had answered with calm, logic, and unity. The trial was over, but something far greater had just begun. The silence after the trial was heavier than the roar of the beast. The humans were escorted from the arena, their movement slower now, marked by injury and exhaustion. Imperial medics approached but stopped at a distance, waiting for orders. No one knew how to treat these beings. The Empire had many rules for many species, but humans were new, and caution ruled every action. Captain Carter felt the pain in his shoulder, but ignored it. He focused on his crew. Every one of them was alive. That fact alone felt unreal. As they moved through the corridors, whispers followed them. Officers spoke in low tones. Scientists argued quietly. Soldiers watched with uneasy respect. The humans were brought to a secure chamber near the palace center. It was not a cell, but it was not freedom either. The doors sealed behind them. Soft lights activated. Clean air flowed in. This was a place for observation. Imperial scanners activated at once. They measured injuries, stress levels, and biological reactions. The data surprised the scientists. The humans were damaged but stable. Pain responses were high, yet controlled. Stress hormones spiked during danger, but dropped quickly after. These beings recovered faster than expected. One scientist commented that the humans should be broken by now. Another replied that they had adapted instead. On the human side, medkits were opened. Simple tools were used to treat wounds. Bandages were wrapped. Pain suppressors were taken in careful doses. Captain Carter moved from one crew member to another, checking each face. He said little. His presence was enough. A new signal arrived. This time it was not a command. It was an invitation. The Emperor requested a direct meeting. The humans exchanged looks. This was unexpected. Usually, survivors of the trial were either executed later or used as tools. No one had ever been invited to speak as equals. The doors opened, and guards escorted the humans through a different path. This route led upward, into older and more sacred parts of the palace. The halls were quieter here. The walls showed not conquest, but history. Images of the empire's rise, its struggles, and its long rule filled the space. They entered a smaller chamber than before. The emperor waited alone. No guards, no generals, only him. The humans stopped a few steps inside. Captain Carter spoke first. "You wish to see us." The emperor studied them closely. He noted their injuries, their fatigue, their steady eyes. "You survived what was meant to end you," he said. "Few ever do." Captain Carter answered honestly. "We worked together." The emperor considered this. "Many species work together," he replied. "Few do so under fear without breaking." He asked questions, simple ones. Where humans came from, how long they had traveled space, why they did not beg in the arena. Captain Carter answered each one, without pride or defiance. Just facts. When asked why they stayed calm, Carter paused. "Fear is natural," he said, "but we learned long ago that panic kills faster than enemies." This answer stayed in the chamber. The emperor turned his gaze inward, consulting old memories and deep data. Humans had no psychic shields, no enhanced biology, no natural weapons, yet they had survived Imperial judgment. This made them dangerous in a way no fleet could match. The emperor made a decision. "You will not be destroyed," he said. "You will be studied." The words caused a ripple of reaction among the humans, but none spoke. Studied was better than dead. The emperor continued. "Your ship will be repaired. Your injured will be treated. In return, you will remain here for a time." Captain Carter nodded slowly. "We can agree to that," he said, "as long as we are not prisoners." The emperor's eyes narrowed slightly. "You are not prisoners," he said. "You are variables." The meeting ended without ceremony. The humans were escorted back, this time with fewer weapons pointed at them. That change did not go unnoticed. Elsewhere in the palace, debates ignited. Generals demanded execution. Scientists demanded access. Politicians feared what humans represented. A species that did not fear the empire was a crack in the foundation. News spread beyond the capital. Whispers moved through trade routes and hidden channels. A new species had faced the imperial trial and lived. Not through power, but through calm. On the human ship, repair crews worked alongside imperial engineers under strict watch. The humans observed quietly, learning patterns, systems, and habits. They did not steal. They did not interfere. They watched and remembered. Captain Carter stood on the observation deck, looking out at the capital world. He felt the weight of what had happened. They were alive, but they were also trapped in something larger. The empire now knew humans existed, and it would not forget. Far above, the emperor looked out over his world and thought the same. The humans had not come as conquerors or servants. They had come by accident. But accidents, he knew, often changed history more than plans ever did. Time passed differently inside the heart of the Galactic Empire. Days were measured by orbital cycles and controlled light shifts, not by suns and skies. The humans remained within a guarded research sector near the palace, free to move inside its limits, but always watched. They were not chained, yet they were never alone. Every step, every word, every reaction was recorded. Imperial scientists began their work carefully. They observed human behavior during rest, conversation, and problem-solving. They expected hidden aggression or delayed fear responses. Instead, they found routine. Humans joked quietly. They shared meals. They argued over small details, and then laughed. This normal behavior unsettled the observers more than violence would have. Medical studies followed. Human bodies healed steadily. Bruises faded. Cuts closed. Pain tolerance was moderate, but endurance was high. When stressed, humans showed signs of fear, yet they continued to function. Fear did not stop them. It guided them. The Empire compared this data with records from hundreds of species. A pattern formed. Most species relied on instinct or hierarchy. Humans relied on adaptability. When plans failed, they changed them. When rules broke, they created new ones. This flexibility worried the analysts. The Emperor ordered deeper research. He wanted to understand the past that shaped these beings. Probes were sent quietly toward human space, masked as cosmic noise. They reached the edges of human territory and began gathering data. What they found shocked the Empire. Human history was filled with conflict, wars against their own kind, resource struggles, ideological battles. Their planet had been scarred many times. Species that destroyed themselves rarely reached the stars. Humans had not only survived, they had learned. The data showed humans fighting with crude weapons at first, then building better ones. Each disaster pushed them forward. Plagues, climate shifts, near-extinction events. Humans adapted every time. They rebuilt. They remembered. They improved. Imperial historians studied these records in silence. One noted the humans did not avoid danger. They faced it directly. Another observed that humans expected hardship and prepared for it. This mindset was rare. Back in the research sector, the humans sensed a change in attitude. Guards spoke less harshly. Scientists asked real questions instead of issuing commands. One asked a human engineer why they had risked their lives to save an injured crew member during the trial. The engineer answered simply, because leaving him was not an option. This answer was logged and replayed many times. The Emperor called a closed council. Only the highest ranks attended. The room was sealed from all networks. He presented the findings. Human resilience, human adaptability, human psychology. He ended with a warning. If threatened, this species will not collapse. It will harden. The generals argued for preemptive action. Destroy human space before humans grew stronger. Scientists warned that such an act would unite humans against the Empire. Politicians feared the reaction of other species if the truth spread. The Emperor listened. He remembered the calm eyes of Captain Carter. He remembered the humans standing in the arena, choosing reason over panic. He understood that humans were not dangerous because they were strong. They were dangerous because they learned. While the Empire debated, the humans continued to observe. They noticed patterns in imperial command, rigid hierarchy, fear-based control, obedience enforced through threat. Captain Carter discussed this quietly with his crew. He did not judge. He analyzed. One night cycle, a young imperial researcher approached Carter privately. She asked why humans did not show hate after the trial. Carter answered carefully, because hate would only blind us. We needed to see clearly. This response stayed with her. The Emperor made his decision. He ordered all hostile plans against human space suspended. Instead, he authorized limited contact, controlled interaction, observation without aggression. He would test humans further, not with death, but with choice. A message was sent to Captain Carter. The humans were invited to a council chamber, not as subjects, but as witnesses. This was unprecedented. As the humans walked through the palace, once more, they felt the weight of unseen eyes. They understood that the Empire feared them now, not openly, but deeply. Fear hidden behind analysis. In the council chamber, the Emperor spoke. Your species has survived itself, he said. That makes you unusual. Captain Carter listened. The Emperor continued. You may leave when your ship is ready. But know this. The galaxy is not kind. Others will test you as we did. Carter met his gaze. We know, he said. We learned that lesson early. The Emperor studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded. As the meeting ended, a quiet truth settled over the Empire. Humans were not a mistake to erase. They were a variable that could not be ignored. Somewhere in the deep records of the imperial mind, a new category was written. Humans. Adaptive. Calm. Dangerous when cornered. The Empire had looked into human history and found a mirror it did not like. The departure preparations began quietly. The imperial docks moved with silent efficiency as the human ship was repaired and resupplied. New alloy patches sealed old damage. Power systems were restored beyond their original limits. The Empire claimed it was standard procedure, but everyone knew this was no longer just maintenance. It was an investment. The humans were allowed to move freely through limited areas of the station. Guards still watched, but their posture had changed. Weapons were lowered more often. Conversations were shorter and more respectful. The Empire did not trust humans, but it no longer dismissed them. Captain Carter gathered his crew in the ship's main chamber. He spoke openly. He explained what the Empire had learned about humanity and what humanity had learned about the Empire. He warned them that leaving did not mean safety. Knowledge had spread. Eyes were now on human space. The crew understood. Fear returned in quiet ways, but so did resolve. Before departure, the Emperor requested one final meeting. The humans were escorted to a private observation hall overlooking the capital world. The planet glowed beneath layers of shields and orbital rings. The Emperor stood near the viewport, his silhouette large and still. "You may go," the Emperor said without turning. "Your error will not be punished." Captain Carter waited. He sensed there was more. The Emperor continued, "But understand this. Others in the galaxy will not react as we did. Some will see your calm as weakness. Others will see it as a challenge." Carter nodded. "We understand." The Emperor turned to face him. "You faced our judgment without fear." "Why?" Carter thought carefully. "Because fear makes you small," he said. "We needed to stay human." The Emperor considered this answer. Then he spoke words that would echo far beyond the chamber. "Then hear this truth. The galaxy respects only two things: power and resolve. You have shown resolve." He stepped closer. His voice lowered. "But resolve without warning invites disaster." Carter understood. "You want us to send a message?" "Yes," the Emperor replied. "Not a threat. A fact." The humans returned to their ship with heavy thoughts. That night cycle, Carter and his senior officers discussed the idea. A warning could provoke fear. Silence could invite attack. They chose balance. When the ship was ready, the Empire cleared a corridor through its defensive grid. Thousands of ships held position, watching. The human vessel moved forward slowly, its lights steady. Before the final jump, Captain Carter opened a channel broadcast across open frequencies. It was not directed at the Empire alone. It was meant for anyone listening. His voice was calm, clear. "This is a human exploration vessel. We entered Imperial space by accident and were judged. We survived. We seek no conflict, but we will defend ourselves if threatened. This is not a warning. It is a statement." The message carried across trade routes and hidden networks. Some species ignored it. Others listened closely. The human ship jumped and vanished. In the days that followed, the galaxy reacted. Rumors spread fast. A new species had faced the Galactic Empire and lived. Traders whispered the humans were fearless. Mercenaries laughed and said no species was fearless. Intelligence networks began gathering data on human colonies and fleets. Within the Empire, debates resumed. Some feared the message was too bold. Others believed it was necessary. The Emperor remained silent, watching the flow of reactions. Far from Imperial space, the human ship emerged near familiar stars. Relief washed over the crew, but it was short-lived. Home had not changed, but they had. Captain Carter reported everything. Governments listened in shock. Analysts worked day and night. Humanity realized it was no longer hidden. The universe now knew their name. Some leaders wanted to prepare weapons. Others wanted alliances. Carter argued for readiness, without aggression. He reminded them of the Empire's words. Resolve mattered. Elsewhere in the galaxy, a rival power watched the reports with interest. This empire had long feared the Galactic Empire. A species that could stand before it calmly was a valuable unknown. The seeds of future conflict and alliance were planted in silence. Back in the Galactic Empire, the Emperor stood before the same viewport. The capital world glowed as always, unchanged. Yet something was different. The humans had left, but they had left behind an idea. That fear was not the only form of strength, and that calm, when tested, could become something far more dangerous than rage. The galaxy had been warned, not by weapons, but by the quiet certainty of a species that had learned how to stand in the dark and not flinch. The warning did not bring peace. It brought attention. In distant regions of space, beyond the reach of the Galactic Empire, another power was watching closely. This rival empire had lost worlds, fleets, and pride to the Galactic Empire for centuries. They feared its strength, but they also studied its weaknesses. When they heard the human message, calm and steady, they saw opportunity. The rival empire moved fast. Scouts confirmed the reports. Humans were new. Humans were small in number. Humans had no great fleets yet. To the rival leaders, this meant one thing. Humans could be broken before they became strong. Their attack did not come toward human space. It came toward the Galactic Empire. Without warning, enemy fleets struck border systems. Trade routes burned. Defense stations fell. The rival empire used speed and numbers, pushing hard before the Galactic Empire could fully respond. For the first time in generations, Imperial lines bent. Inside the Galactic Empire, alarms rang across command centers. Fleets were recalled. Generals shouted orders. Yet something was wrong. The enemy did not fight like before. They avoided direct clashes. They targeted supply lines. They forced confusion. The Emperor watched the reports in silence. He saw the pattern. The rival empire had learned. It had adapted. That realization disturbed him deeply. Imperial fleets met the enemy near a key system. The battle was massive. Energy fire filled space. Ships exploded in waves of light. The Empire fought with power and discipline, but the enemy flowed around them, striking where defenses were thin. Losses mounted. For the first time in centuries, an Imperial general sent a message he never thought he would send. A request. The message traveled across long space routes and reached human command. It carried Imperial codes and a simple truth. The Empire was under threat. Human leaders gathered at once. Some argued to stay out. This was not their war. Others warned that if the Galactic Empire fell, chaos would follow. Captain Carter spoke last. He reminded them of the trial, of the Emperor's choice, of the warning given. "If we do nothing," Carter said, "we teach the galaxy that calm words mean weakness." The decision was made. A small human task force launched. Not a fleet of power, but ships of purpose. Engineers, tacticians, and scouts filled the crews. They did not announce their arrival. They slipped into contested space quietly. When Imperial sensors detected human signals, confusion spread. Some commanders protested. Others felt relief they did not voice. The Emperor ordered the humans allowed through. The humans studied the battlefield. They watched how the enemy moved, how they avoided strength and hunted gaps. It felt familiar, too familiar. Captain Carter shared his analysis with Imperial commanders. He spoke plainly. "They're not trying to beat you," he said. "They are trying to exhaust you." The generals resisted at first. The Empire crushed enemies with force, not patience. But losses continued. Finally, they listened. Humans suggested changes. Smaller formations, flexible command, decentralized decisions. Imperial officers disliked this. It went against everything they knew. Yet desperation has a way of opening minds. In the next engagement, the Empire changed its approach. Imperial fleets broke into adaptive groups. They stopped guarding empty space and began predicting enemy movement. Human scouts fed real-time data. Human engineers rewired old systems for faster response. Nothing flashy, just efficient. The enemy charged, expecting the same rigid defense. They met something different. Imperial ships moved unexpectedly. Traps closed where gaps had been. Supply hunters found themselves hunted. Confusion spread through enemy ranks. Their advantage vanished. The battle turned. Human ships did not fire often. When they did, it was precise. They focused on communication relays and coordination nodes. Enemy fleets lost cohesion. Panic followed. Imperial commanders watched in stunned silence as the rival empire retreated for the first time. The Emperor felt something he had not felt in centuries. Relief. The humans had not saved the Empire with weapons. They had saved it with understanding. After the battle, Imperial officers approached the humans differently. They asked questions. They listened. Pride bent, but it did not break. Respect replaced fear. News spread quickly. The humans had fought alongside the Galactic Empire and changed the course of war. Other species took note. Some felt hope. Others felt worry. Captain Carter met with the Emperor through secure channel. The Emperor spoke first. You did not have to help. Carter answered simply, "No, but we chose to." The emperor was silent for a long moment. Then he said words no emperor had ever spoken to an outsider. "The empire is in your debt." The message echoed through imperial space. It changed everything. The humans prepared to leave again. This time, they were not escorted out. They were honored. As the human ships departed, imperial fleets held position, not as guards, but as witnesses. The galaxy watched a new alliance form, not by treaty, but by shared survival. Far away, the rival empire licked its wounds and studied the data. One truth became clear. Humans were no longer unknown. They were a factor. And factors, when ignored, had a way of reshaping the future. The capital world gathered in silence. News of the battle had reached every level of the Galactic Empire. Systems that had never known fear now whispered about it. Not fear of the rival empire, but fear of what had nearly been lost. And in that silence, one truth spread faster than any order. The humans had changed the outcome. The emperor called for a formal assembly. This was rare. Such gatherings were reserved for victories that reshaped history. The great hall filled with representatives from across the empire. Generals, governors, scientists, and observers from subject worlds took their places. Above them all, the emperor waited on his throne. The humans were brought in last. They walked into the hall without escort. No chains, no raised weapons, just open space before them. Whispers followed every step. Some stared with curiosity, others with disbelief, a few with open respect. Captain Carter led his crew to the center. He stood straight. He did not bow. He did not challenge. He waited. The emperor rose. The sound echoed like thunder. The hall fell completely silent. "For centuries," the emperor began, "this empire has ruled through strength and order. We have faced countless enemies. Few have forced us to change." He paused, his gaze sweeping the room. "These humans did." A ripple moved through the hall. Shock, anger, awe. The emperor continued. "They entered our space by accident. They faced our judgment without fear. They survived our trial. And when our empire was threatened, they chose to help." He turned toward Captain Carter. Not for reward, not for dominance, but because they understood the cost of standing alone. The emperor stepped down from the throne. No emperor had done this in living memory. He walked toward the humans. Every eye followed. Guards tensed. The hall held its breath. Then the emperor stopped and inclined his head. It was not a deep bow. It was controlled, formal, but it was unmistakable. Respect. The hall erupted in stunned silence. Some gasped. Others lowered their eyes. History shifted in that moment. Captain Carter felt the weight of it. He did not smile. He nodded once in return. The emperor straightened. "From this moment," he declared, "humans are recognized as allies of the Galactic Empire. Not subjects, not tools, allies." The word echoed. He continued, "They will have free passage through imperial space. Their vessels will be honored. Their voices will be heard." Murmurs spread. Some protested quietly. Others felt relief. The empire was changing, and change always hurt. After the assembly, private meetings followed. Agreements were discussed. Limits were set. The humans were careful. They refused special privileges that would put them above others. They asked only for respect and open communication. This restraint impressed many. Power often demanded more. Humans asked for less. Elsewhere in the empire, reactions varied. Some worlds celebrated. Others feared retaliation from rival powers. But all took note. A new name had been added to the list of forces that mattered. Beyond imperial borders, the news spread even faster. The Galactic Empire had bowed. Not to a fleet, not to a weapon, but to a people. Other species reevaluated their assumptions. Merchants saw opportunity. Strategists saw risk. Small civilizations saw hope. On Earth, the announcement arrived like a storm. Humanity listened as Carter's report was broadcast. Silence followed. Then debate. Then resolve. Humanity was no longer alone in the dark. Captain Carter prepared to leave the capital world for the final time. As his ship lifted from the platform, he looked back at the vast city below. He felt pride, but also caution. Alliances carried responsibility. The Emperor watched the ship depart from his private chamber. Advisors asked if he trusted the humans. He answered truthfully, "I trust their nature." He knew the galaxy would test that nature soon. As the human ship jumped to hyperspace, records were updated across the Empire. New protocols, new symbols. One phrase appeared again and again in reports and whispers. Humans do not flinch. That phrase spread beyond borders, beyond languages. It became a quiet warning and a strange comfort at the same time. The Empire had recognized the humans. The galaxy had noticed. And nothing would ever return to the way it was before. The galaxy remembered moments, not speeches. Long after the assembly ended and the halls emptied, one image remained burned into countless minds. The Emperor of the Galactic Empire, standing before humans and lowering his head. That single act carried more weight than fleets and laws combined. Across imperial space, official records were updated. New symbols appeared beside human identifiers. Ally, trusted, independent. These words had never existed together in imperial language before. Bureaucrats struggled to adjust protocols. Military planners rewrote threat models. Historians paused, unsure how to describe what had happened without admitting something uncomfortable. The Empire had changed because it had met something it could not intimidate. The humans returned home quietly. There was no parade, no victory march. Their ships slipped back into familiar space, carrying knowledge heavier than any cargo. Humanity now understood the size of the galaxy and its dangers. But they also understood something else. Com had power. On Earth and its colonies. Leaders listened carefully to Captain Carter's final report. He spoke of strength and restraint, of empires that ruled through fear, and of the cost of standing firm without becoming cruel. He warned them not to chase glory. "We were respected," he said, "because we did not demand it." Human fleets began to change. Not larger, smarter. Training focused on flexibility, coordination, and endurance. Diplomats studied alien cultures. Engineers prepared for unknown conditions. Humanity did not rush forward. It prepared. Within the Galactic Empire, rival powers watched with growing concern. They had seen the reports. They had felt the shift. The Empire was no longer alone at the top. It had allies, and worse, it had learned humility. That made it unpredictable. The rival empire that had attacked before began strengthening its borders. They studied human tactics in silence. They noted the patterns. Calm responses. Focused strikes. No wasted effort. This frightened them more than raw force ever could. Small civilizations across the galaxy sent quiet messages toward human space. Simple greetings. Trade offers. Requests for guidance. Humans answered carefully. Never promising protection, only honesty. Trust grew slowly, but it grew. The Emperor often reflected on his decision. Alone in his chamber, he reviewed footage of the first encounter. The small human ship, surrounded by overwhelming power. No panic, no defiance, just stillness. He understood now why it had unsettled his commanders. Fear had nothing to grip. He ordered a new doctrine taught in imperial academies. Not about humans, about limits, about the danger of believing fear was the only tool that mattered. Some resisted, others listened. Years later, traders would tell stories in distant ports. They spoke of humans walking through fire without raising their voices, of human ships arriving in chaos zones and restoring order without demanding control, of a species that did not seek to rule, yet somehow influenced everything around it. The phrase evolved. Humans do not flinch became something more. Humans endure. Captain Carter retired from command not long after. The galaxy shifted quietly after the humans' return. Their presence was no longer a secret, but their true nature remained a mystery to many. Empires adjusted their maps, strategies, and alliances as news of the humans spread beyond imperial space. Some saw opportunity, others threat, but all understood one thing clearly. Humans were different. Back on Earth and its colonies, humanity faced a new era. The knowledge of the Galactic Empire, the rival powers, and the vastness of space changed perspectives. Leaders debated how to proceed. Some wanted to expand rapidly. claiming strength was the only language the galaxy understood. Others called for caution, reminding all that survival required patience and wisdom. Captain Carter spoke often in these discussions. His experience in the Empire's heart shaped his advice. Strength without control is destruction, he warned. Calm and resolve are tools we have learned, not just weapons. Human society adapted slowly. Space programs increased, but so did diplomacy. Scientists worked to understand alien cultures. Military strategists studied not only tactics, but psychology. The lessons of the Empire trial echoed everywhere. To face the unknown with fear was to lose before the fight began. Outside the Empire, the rival powers grew uneasy. Their failed invasion of Imperial space had weakened them. They studied humans carefully, seeking a way to exploit what they saw as a hidden flaw: the humans' unwillingness to dominate immediately. Patience can be a weakness, some argued, but others disagreed. Patience is a weapon they have mastered. Small worlds, once ignored by great powers, sent envoys to human colonies. They sought alliances and protection. Humans responded with offers of trade and knowledge, but stopped short of military promises. They knew alliances could be fragile. Trust took time. Within the Galactic Empire, memories of the humans' trial remained sharp. Some generals resented the alliance, seeing humans as unpredictable. Others embraced it, recognizing the value of a species that did not break under pressure. Imperial academies began teaching human history and tactics as examples of resilience and adaptation. The Emperor who had first judged the humans grew older. He watched as the galaxy changed around him. His decision to spare the humans and accept them as allies was questioned in some circles, but praised in others. He knew it was a gamble, but history, he believed, favored those who could adapt. New challenges arose. Rogue factions, independent warlords, and mysterious alien groups tested the fragile peace. Humans and Imperial forces often found themselves facing these threats together. Cooperation deepened not through treaties, but shared experience. Battles were fought not with hatred, but with mutual respect for survival. Captain Carter's crew had dispersed. Some returned to Earth. Others remained at the Empire's edge, serving as liaisons, scouts, and diplomats. They carried the story of their trial and the lessons they learned. Their presence reminded all that calm in the face of chaos was not surrender, but strength. As decades passed, human culture blended slowly with Imperial customs. Exchanges of art, language, and technology blossomed. Humans brought new ideas about leadership and community. The Empire offered stability and experience. Together, they created a fragile but promising future. In quiet moments, Carter reflected on the journey. From a simple mission gone wrong to becoming a key figure in galactic history, the path had been unexpected. He understood that humans' greatest power was not their weapons or ships, but their ability to face fear and keep moving forward. The galaxy would never forget the humans who entered Imperial space by accident and refused to flinch. That refusal changed everything. It challenged old empires, shifted alliances, and inspired new hope. The story was far from over, but one truth remained clear. In a universe filled with stars and shadows, sometimes the calmest voice was the loudest. Humans do not flinch. Humans endure. And the galaxy would watch, waiting to see what came next.